Friendlies, how's up? What I got here is a very well-known scotch. This is the Ledaig 10. Some people call it Ledaig, but from my research, the actual name is Ledaig. Whatever, call it what you will. Now, Ledaig used to be the name of the actual distillery. I think this distillery was founded in 1798. It's on the Isle of Mull, so that's in the Inner Hebrides. That's, I think it's the second largest island after Skye. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think so, if my Scottish knowledge is intact. So Tobermory Distillery makes, I think they're kind of more well known for an unpeated malt, but they do make this Ledaig 10, which is peated, and I like me some peated scotch. So, I'm very excited to be tasting this. Go, you know, safety first, guys. There we go. Oh. Oh, did you hear that? Nice. Oh, that's got a nice smell to it, guys. So, oh, I'm excited. Oh, wow, that's a... I don't really know how... Like, there's obviously the peat there, there's some smokiness there, but more of a peat, maybe a touch of brine. Something a little medicinal going on, but there's a real fresh, sort of cool thing happening too. I'll do it with my mouth open. Yeah, the peat and the smoke are there, but it's not peat forward. It's not like a big, you know, punch or the way like a Lafroig would be, or Ardbeg, or even a Lagavulin. There's something. There's definitely that iodine thing there. There's like a pine, some sort of an evergreen, I think, but just a touch. Hit of something. Definitely better on this side. Something a little nutty, maybe? Like there's an earthiness. That's what I'm trying to find. There's an earthiness, like a wet compost or something. Like, you know, like a wet kind of loamy, maybe kind of peaty thing actually, but not like a burnt peat. Something outdoorsy and alive. I'm definitely going to want to give this thing a little tasty here. Maybe a little fruit, but like a pear, like the smell you get when you cut a pear. Not like a pear jam or candied fruit or anything like that. Not a berry note either. Like a pear or a green apple. Oh, you gotta taste it, right? Okay, it's a lot bigger in the mouth than it is on the nose. There's still like a light, airy, fresh thing happening, but the smoke is definitely more present. The nuttiness is bigger. A little bit underneath, there's some spice happening. It's peppery. Oh, I gotta take another. Like there's a dry spice thing. Almost, it's like the whole world went on fire and then the fire went out. And there's still that sort of damp earth thing happening. I do a lot of campfires, right? So you know the smell you get when the fire's over, you've doused it in water, you've mixed it into the earth, and you're getting this loamy, earthy, smoky thing happening. There's a lot of spice in there. There's still the nuttiness though. It's got a nice finish to it. It's sort of You know how some scotches are like great smell, you know, great taste, boom, and they're gone. Not this one. It's sort of dwindling into the distance, all the same notes. The nuttiness disappears first. It's the smoke and the charred wood, the charred oak, that lasts the longest for me. Now that I've tasted it, I'm going to do another nose with my mouth open, because that very often will change things, or not change things, but hone in the experience a little bit. I still get the iodine, which I didn't get on the tongue in the tasting. But now there's a bit more of that sort of evergreen thing happening. Okay, it's a fall forest day. That's what I'm getting. Those smells, you know, the leaf mulch on the ground, the loaminess, the smell of like firs or pines. I think it's like a pine oil or a pine sap thing. Guys, this channel is so far 2 for 2. I'm enjoying this. I think we're off to a great start. Yeah, a little distilled water, like last time. I don't generally drink my scotch with distilled water, but in the name of the tasting, so I'm gonna let that open up a little bit. But I don't know what to do while. Okay. You know what, like, a guilty dream is of mine? Here's the dream, okay? I win like 30 million bucks so that I'm not worried about money. And I open a really small distillery. Like, you know how some people have a hobby farm? Think of that, but a distillery. The quintessential small batch, in that I'm only making hobby level production, and not doing the typical Canadian whiskey thing where it's all caramel and there's like a metallic stank to it, and there's the 9% rule and all that stuff that I feel destroys, not destroys, but damages the Canadian whiskey industry. Makes it an industry that is very much geared towards, you know, cocktails and mixers rather than sipping a fine whiskey. And I want to make like a single malt, and I put it away for 10 years, make gin in the meantime, because I like gin too, and it's nice to be doing stuff while you're waiting for your barrels to mature. And just do like a 10-year-old single malt, maybe like 3 barrels, distillery equipment, barrels. But I'd also like to do like a label, you know, a nice little label, source some nice bottles, and not just wine bottles. But like not as a business, just as a nice little hobby. But here's the thing: in Canada, getting the permit you need to do even like a personal level distillery, I mean, it's so hard to get that it may as well just be illegal. So not having to worry about paying the bills while I'm working all this out is why, you know, winning $1 million isn't enough, but winning 30 mil would really help things out. Now, to do that, I'd have to actually buy lottery tickets. Maybe I'll do that after this. All right, so what do you got here? You know, once I've dropped the little distilled water in there, it was just like a drop. It's brought the airiness and the iodine way forward. I'm not really going to go into what happens when you put a drop of water in right now, because, you know, it's sort of anarchy, as Ralphie would say. Definitely like a cool, breezy, seaside, saltwatery thing still there, but the peat and the smoke have dropped away a little bit. Oh, it's a lot harsher now. Now it's very peppery, very kind of, yeah, there's a lot of peat there still, but the taste isn't as nuanced anymore. Now it's gone a lot bigger on the rough parts, but like the nuttiness and the fruit has dropped right out of the bottom. I don't feel that adding water, I don't want to say ever, but I don't feel that adding water improves the experience very often. That's why I almost never do it. I don't drop a rock in. I don't add water, either a drop or like, you know, water it down in any way. I don't. No, it doesn't improve the experience for me. Yeah, it's still a good dram like this, but it's not as good. Like adding water turns it from a really, because I'm enjoying this. I think this is a really good bottle. But adding the water makes it an okay dram rather than a great one. That's why I add the water after I've done my whole tasting, because that wasn't as good as it was before, and you can't take the water back out. So, how many of my check boxes does this baby hit? Okay, single malt, there's one. Age statement, 10 years, there's 2. Non-chill filtered, there's 3. 46.3%, so that's over 45. I don't know if you can see that. I can't see the screen, sorry. Okay. The one thing that I'm not sure about, it's nice that it's non-chill filtered, but I don't know if there's caramel coloring in it or not. One thing that's not really a hard and fast rule, but it happens often enough that you can say this might be a factor here. Clear ass bottle very often will equal caramel coloring. For bottles with no coloring in, it'll usually be like a green bottle to hide the fact that you put 2 bottles next to each other and they're not quite the same color. As I said, a lot of especially non-independent guys, right? These guys are owned by some company that I don't remember the name of, but it's based in South Africa. You know, guys like Diageo and big companies, they really like uniformity of product, so very often there's caramel coloring throughout their entire lines. So it hits most of my check boxes. The caramel coloring, I don't know, but it doesn't say anything on the bottle. It didn't say anything on the box. If it doesn't say it on the bottle and the box, chances are it's because you don't want to talk about it. So I'm not going to give it full marks for that. The taste is very good. Very unusual compared to what I've had before, in that it's for the peat and the smoke, it's a very light taste. I don't mean a weak taste. I mean, it's got a very airy, fresh thing happening. I give it like an 8 on 10. What that means is I would definitely buy it again, and I'm very happy to have the bottle, and I'm looking forward to having another dram at some point soon. Okay, so that's all she wrote. Thanks for hanging out with me for this whiskey review. For my next whiskey review, I've got something that's not a scotch, but that I am very much looking forward to opening. So, if you like what I'm doing, then please, please, please drop me a note down below. Talk about your favorite scotch. Talk about your favorite whiskey. Please share the video. Leave me a smiley thumb. If you don't like what I'm doing, leave me a frowny thumb, all right? Thanks a lot, guys. Whiskey.